Hey YouTube, hope you're all well. Special hello to the 180 followers. Hope you're doing good and finding all this information helpful on your journey to recovery, or just wanting to follow me to help with some stretching and some physical therapy. I've started doing some spin classes again and doing a lot more leg training. And what I've found is the more work I do on my legs, the tighter they'll get, because you're just teaching them to get stronger and stronger and stronger. But unfortunately, I don't seem to be doing enough stretching or mobility work. And what I find especially are my quadriceps are very, very tight, especially on the broken side. There's a number of reasons for this. The first one is when I had the frame on, I spent a lot of time in bed in an upright position, and that will tighten up the quadriceps. Legs are long. If we want to stretch the quads, we've got to bend the knee. We've also got to take the leg behind us as well. And I just wasn't doing that. So what I've been finding over the last couple of weeks or so is starting to get some lower back pain. And even if you haven't broken your leg, a lot of my clients suffer with some lower back pain when they first come to me. Main reason is they sit down all day. And although this part of a quadricep is lengthened because the knee's bent, one of your quadriceps crosses the pelvis. And when we sit down, that quad gets shorter. The other issue as well is we have a muscles called the hip flexors. And the hip flexors do exactly what it says on the tin. They flex the hip. The bum muscles extend the hip, and the hip flexors flex the hip. So the amount of time people are sitting down is one of the main reasons why they'll get tight hamstrings and also tight hips. Now the issue with having tight hips is it will refer into the lower back. If you ever find that after sitting down for quite some time, when you stand up, you get this lower back pain, most often it's not the lower back that's the issue, even though you do feel it there. And you think, well, if I feel it there, it must be the lower back. What it is you've got hip flexor muscles, you've got 3 of them on each side. They originate on the inner thigh. They cross diagonally through the pelvis, and they join in the back of the pelvis on the opposite side of a bone, and also into the lower back as well. And when they get tight, it tilts the hips forward, compressing the lower back. So that's one of the reasons why we feel the pain. The pressure going through the back, but also the pressure of the actual muscle being too tight. So as we stand up, I don't know if you notice this, but some people are a little bit tilted. And what we want to try and do is get our bum muscles and our abdominal muscles working together to tuck underneath. And the reason I say that in terms of the mobility of the pelvis is this stretch, you're gonna have to do it, okay? It's really, really important that you learn how to be able to tilt the pelvis or control your pelvis while you're doing the stretch, and then you can actually apply it to your everyday life. So the stretch we're gonna do is a quad and hip flexor stretch. It's a combination of both. Most of it is just about not being aware about what the body's doing. So I've got the step set up. You can use a sofa, you can use a chair, you can use a wall, makes no difference. It's all about the technique, and then the apparatus that you use will be determined by how flexible or unflexible you are. My break in the knee was just at the top of the tibia. That exploded, so I can now kneel on it, but it's a little bit uncomfortable. What I'm going to do, I'm going to show you the good side first and show you how good it is, and then I'm going to show you the really tight side so you can actually compare and contrast the two sides. Get yourself a mat or a cushion because you're going to kneel on it. Hands on the floor, foot goes up, other leg comes forward, and to begin with, we're looking for our legs to be roughly shoulder width apart. First thing we do, we just sit up. Seems quite easy, no problems there at all. Let me show you the other side. So I'll change this over, pop the knee on the floor, foot on the step, other foot comes forward, and then that's as far as up as I can go. Now, the biggest stretch I can feel runs along here. One of you remember that rectus femoris, the middle quadricep muscle, which crosses the hip? That's what I can feel being really, really tight. So what I need to do is I need to squeeze my bum muscles and just draw the hips forward. Really important that you actually try and contract your bum muscle for around about 8 seconds and then release. What you'll notice when you do contract it, you'll develop a deeper stretch through the front thigh. And the reason that is, because when the bum muscle contracts, as I mentioned before, it produces hip extension. But it also, with assistance with the abdominals, it untucks the hips. So most people, diagonal line, are overactive in the hip flexor and lower back, which tilts the pelvis forward. And most people are underactive and not very flexible through the glutes, through the abdominals, to pull underneath. And it's all about getting that balance and that control. If I show you side on, so good side, straight into position. That's what most people want to do. They want to tuck the hips forward. And actually, if you look at the short line, you can see how it diagonally goes down at the front. So what I'm going to use my butt muscles and my abdominals to just tuck underneath. As soon as you tuck underneath, squeeze the bum muscles, as soon as you do that, you'll feel a much deeper stretch. And that's what you're looking for. You're looking at that squeeze, rotation. You can also lift the arm up and then lean across. And what I'd probably recommend is do 8-second holds. So up, and we just squeeze the butt muscle and abdominals and reach for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and relax. Give yourself a few breaths just to recover, and I'd repeat that 10 times. Then move on to the other side. So one of the great ways of working on this stretch for the quadriceps and for the hip flexors is to do a few different positions, well, 3 different positions. The first one is just to get you through that central plane. And that's where everything's kind of shoulder width apart. But remember at the beginning how I said the hip flexor actually originates along the inner thigh. To get a better stretch through there, take your front foot, move it out to the side, a little bit further forward, out to the side. Keep all this nice and strong, and then move your body forwards. As you move your body forwards, taking your bum away from the heel, you'll feel the stretch much higher up. And then when you take your butt back to the heel again, you'll feel more of a mid-quad stretch. So you can come out, remember to tuck underneath, squeeze the butt muscle. You can even go into that stretch again. As soon as you do that, you'll feel a much deeper stretch. So you just choose your level and just take it easy. 8 seconds, squeeze, and then relax. The only thing you want to be relaxing in terms of muscular activation are the muscle groups that you're trying to stretch. Everything else tends to have to be a little bit tighter to hold you into position. So I'm breathing, I'm relaxing the quads, getting the butt muscle working, squeeze forward. I'll use this side to stretch this side, 8 seconds, and then back down again. Now for some people, they get tight outer quadricep muscle. So a good way of stretching that, it's a little bit painful, so be careful. Good way of stretching the outside quadricep is try and keep your hips square. Now move your front foot across. So what you'll notice is as I move the front foot across, the angle of the leg is now kind of facing inwards. And then from there, gently come forwards, squeeze the butt muscle again. And now what you'll feel is the outside quadricep getting a stretch, getting a much deeper stretch. You want to try and work through all of them because all those quadriceps, even though they all straighten the leg or the hip flexors and the rectus fem flex the knee, they all do something slightly different around the knee area. If you're somebody who maybe crosses the leg over, the outside one will probably be a little bit tighter. If you're somebody who crosses the leg over like this, the inside ones are probably going to be a little bit tighter and the outside ones are probably going to be a little bit more flexible. So it all goes down to an individual person. Let's get you back side on. And we'll show you again. Go onto my bad side now. Foot goes up. Get yourself into position. Other foot comes forwards. Strong. And then lift yourself up. Now, since I broke my leg, the doctor says I'm no longer going to be able to get my butt to go to the heel. I'm looking at roughly 120 degrees range of movement. So I'll just do what I can do. As soon as I feel a stretch, I don't need to go any further. Still work on tucking underneath. And for some of you, just tucking will be enough. You won't need to do any more. So tuck underneath, squeeze the butt cheek, lift the arm, and reach. It's a combination of coming forwards, continually squeezing through to get the top quads working or stretched, and then we can come back to get higher up the quad. Can't come too back, as I said, range of movement's not so good, and it's still giving me a little bit of aggravation through the knee area, which I just need to carry on working at. Keep stretching, keep stretching. In total, I'd probably say to begin with, just look at 3 minutes. 3 minutes off each side. It will be intense. Do it again a couple of hours later. Another 3 minutes each side. Do it again a couple of hours later. So it's probably best if we are really, really tight, instead of doing one big stretch and then nothing throughout the day, do stretches throughout the day and you'll actually find your improvements will increase in speed. They'll actually get better quicker because you're doing the right thing more often during the day instead of doing one lump, then sitting down, and it all just tightens back up again. Give it a go, 3 minutes each side, try and do it 5 times in a day, and then notice how much your back will loosen up, and also your thighs will just start to desensitize, won't be so tight, probably won't be so painful as well through the knee, and it will just help you with your exercises later on. And then, as I get better at that stretch, what I can then do is start to work more, if I can get my balance, start to work more on developing a lunge, which I haven't started just yet. I've just been doing leg pressing, some squats and some deadlifts. Main reason I haven't been doing the lunges, just feels really insecure through the knee and just super tight. So I've got to get a good base to work from before I start strengthening it. Okay, hope it helps you all. Have a great time working on that. As always, if you need anything, leave a comment at the bottom. Like, subscribe, share, all that stuff. You do whatever you want to do, but just get the exercises done. Look after yourself. Okay, until next time, see you later. Bye-bye.